As we head into the All-Star break, we have 10 names you need to add to your team, including Noel V. Marte, Evan Carter, Noah Cameron, and much more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe to the channel and give you notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things, make sure you subscribe. And if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you do that for us as well. And lastly, but what's most important to Matt and I and you guys this time of year, give us a chance on the Insider's Track, where we offer so much more than we can in these 30-minute episodes, including our waiver wire episodes. When we do these, you're going to get these players ranked, and we're going to tell you how you should prioritize them when you're picking them up, and offer some special stats that we don't in these episodes. And we give you those instant prospect note-up qualifications with Bubba Chandler and so many more players coming up in the second half. You're going to want those. So the link is in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on in any of our social media platforms. So once again, that is the Insider Track. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And all right, Matt, we kind of mentioned up top, headed into the All-Star break. We got a little bit of breathing room here, some time to look at our teams, make adjustments. And we got 10 players today that you're going to want to speculatively add to your roster heading into the All-Star break to give you a little bit of a boost. And just a quick scheduling note, this week, we're going to switch up some episodes and do things a little bit differently. So just stay tuned this week as we do that. But, Matt, we got so many good names to talk about today. Where are we going first?
I mean, might as well do it with the best name on the whole list, in all honesty, as Noel V. Marte of the Cincinnati Reds, 27% owned, and has been absolutely crushing it since returning from his injury. So far on the week, 4 runs, 3 bombs, 4 ribs, batting .368, just looking mighty monstrous. Finally kicked it off this week, and I'm just like, sheesh. I can't believe he's only 27% owned. Plays third base, and I think, quite honestly, there's upside. I mean, we saw it as a prospect. We saw it a little bit in stints last year. You know, him getting popped for the, steroids and things like that obviously hampered what we thought his expectations could be. But, hey, it looks like the kid is still got what he's got, and I think that he's going to be off to an amazing start and to finish out the season. I wouldn't be surprised if he cranks out way more home runs. Batting average, I think, is legit. You look at his career, he batted .324 and 25 before getting called up. In 24, he batted a .412, like .316. Like, he's always had a batting average type deal thing. And I just like Marte as a whole. Dude has power, has a little bit of speed, nothing special. He's never been like a super stolen base guy, but if he chips in 10 in a year, you're happy. I think he's going to be great in that team, that park. Everything kind of lines and the stars are kind of, matching up here for Marte. So I'm 100% adding him literally everywhere.
Matt, great take on Marte. I mean, there was a reason this kid was such a high-end prospect as he was coming up. The PED suspension and the injuries, hampered him this year, but hey, he's back and he's performing well, as you mentioned. I think there's a little bit higher upside in the speed. I think he can get the 20 steals in the season. He's done it before a couple times down in the minors. Back in 2022, he's at 23 steals in 115 games. Year prior in 2021, he had 24 steals in 107 games. So the kid's got speed and pop, and he's in a great lineup to get counting stats as 2. He could be a potential 5-tool guy. Listen, Noel V. Marte is a name that, if he performs well through the end of the season, could be a name, top 10, 12 third baseman going into 2026. So definitely a name you're going to want to pick up. Once again, Noel V. Marte, Cincinnati Reds third baseman, 27% owned on Yahoo. Matt, good take. So I'm going to keep things pushing here. Let's talk about Evan Carter of the Texas Rangers. And he's been on this episode on and off a couple times so far this season, just injuries. He hasn't been as consistent as we would like. Only has played 41 games so far this season, but Mr. Carter has a .262 batting average, 22 runs, 4 homers, 17 RBIs, and 12 steals. You love the 12 steals. You would hope there'd be a little bit more power. But listen, since Carter's been, that he's been banged up here and there, right? Like I said, missed a couple of games, back at the end of June there, beginning of July with, a little hampered up. But since he's been back, it's been good. The last week, he's been showing off those skills. Or even the last 2 weeks. We'll do the last 2 weeks because I know the last 2 weeks he's been pretty solid. Last 2 weeks, 6 runs, no homers, 6 RBIs, 6 steals. Sixes are wild over here for Evan Carter and batting .260. So he's been getting on track, right? And we kind of want to pick him up before the power starts to come into play. You love to see that. They're just letting him run wild over there. He's batting 6th. This Texas team has been a little bit better of late, but still not what we expected them to be this year. Evan Carter's only 18% owned. So you're talking about your 5 outfielder leagues, your deep 12s, your 15s, of course your AL onlys and stuff like that. He should already be owned in those kinds of leagues. You want to get a kid like Evan Carter, who's been great in the minors, high-end prospect. Like I said, this kid still very young, like an Noel V Marte too. There's still so much room for growth. So you want to get Evan Carter before he starts tapping into that power. And the speed's already there. I really think Evan Carter in his prime could be like a 20, 35 kind of guy with good counting stats, good batting average. So I want to pick Evan Carter up now before, everything starts coming together for the kid and he's owned everywhere. Right now, 18% owned. Snag him.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, I agree with you wholeheartedly, except on what the upside could possibly be. I think it could be even better than that 25 to 30 at some point in his career.
I thought you were going to say worse. I was going to be like, I thought I did a good job there.
No. If anything, I think you just sold him a little too short. Like, I mean, in dynasty leagues, he's definitely worth it. Evan Carter's just a stud, and again, and I keep harping on coming into last year, he was the most proven rookie coming out of that class, and I just really wanted every piece I can, and unfortunately, the back injury really hampered his play. I think that the fact that he's batting .269 already, the fact that we're starting to see him do things, even with the injuries and the bereavements and things like that have been going on in his personal life, hasn't really dispelled his playing. So I'm going to get ahead of the waiver wire, like Dom said, and I think he's a guy that is going to be a second half breakout and is going to be a fantasy stud for us. So I'm going to be adding him too. This next guy here, though, Brady House of the Washington Nationals, though, he's more of like a stream now. He is 4% owned, so deeply cut. I'm not really adding him outside of 12-man leagues. I mean, even though he's riding the hot wing, I'm just like, I don't know how much longer this is going to last. He's a young player, so speculative add maybe at a 10, but not an 8. 4 runs, 2 bombs, 5 ribs, batting .450. Dude's showing off a little bit. Part of the reason why I got called up was this kind of performance. Before getting the call, obviously he had to thrust himself into the lineup, and with that, even on the season before the call, if this darn page would stop moving around, 260 at bats, 42 runs, 15 doubles, a triple, 13 bombs, 41 ribs, and batted .304. Like, I love the batting average that's translating, even though he's only walked 4 times to 21 strikeouts. The power hasn't really shown up yet, but I think it can to an extent. And what is sustainable, what is not? How much of 2024 was legitimate, or can we call this just what's the word I'm looking for? Just a negative regression year that he's now having a positive regression year, and he's just maybe learning some things. With Brady House, for me, he's a stream now, forget later, and then if he continues it, then going, there's zero patience when it comes to owning him. Ultimately, he's just a guy that's hot, and I want a piece of it.
Well, you know what, man? I think you're selling Brady House a little bit too short. You know what? If we're doing things that way tonight, no, listen, I do agree for the most part, but I do think Brady House has some upside here. Was the 11th overall pick in the first round back in 2021 by the Nationals. And one thing you talked about, he can grow into some power. Listen, he's 6'4", 210. And on July 12th, he had a 2 home run game, went 3 for 4 in that game. He's hitting .270, 12 RBIs, already stole two bags as well, 7 runs. He's been good since he got called up, and we don't see prospects every time they come up perform, this well right away like Brady House is doing. I think he's definitely worth the speculative ad. Matt, you hit the nail on the head, though. It's probably just 12-man leagues and deeper for right now. He's only 4% owned on Yahoo, though, so that's pretty much, you can grab this kid anywhere you want. You just love to see a prospect like this who had really good success in the minors, where in 65 games he hit .304 with 13 home runs. Not really going to give you too much speed. Can steal a bag, though, but he's mainly a power guy. So I'll snag Brady House House where I can in those 12-man leagues and deeper. But before we move on and we talk about names like Luis Rengifo, Ramon Laureano, and then we got some pitchers like Noah Cameron. And hey, listen, when is Bubba Chandler coming up? We got those names and more coming up next.
And all right, there's nothing better than catching an MLB game live, the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the smell of the ballpark food, and you're looking for that last minute. You're going to go last minute. Game Time makes getting tickets even easier. With last minute deals, all-in-one pricing, lowest prices guaranteed. Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as the game time gets closer, meaning you can score incredible deals no matter what. You know what? I do this all the time. I'll go chill out at Xfinity Live down in Philly. And if the tickets hit the right price, I'm walking in the doors and I'm buying those tickets on Game Time. Been doing it long before being with Locked On. So it's one of my favorite things to do. And you know what? It's super easy. Comes right to my phone. I get the tickets within minutes. It's wonderful. And I love the fact that I can make sure the seats are actually decent. And there's no pole right in front of me. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Hey, look, you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast. You want to stay ahead of your league mates. You want to, win a championship. There's only one to do that. Get in on the inside of track. Look, we give you, key stats to highlight and pay attention to from each episode. We give you, who to rankings on each waiver wire episode of who to prioritize. You can get prospect call-up notifications if the prospect is actually relevant. And lastly, if you have any questions regarding on who I should trade, who I should pick up, what should I do with this? How should I scratch my butt, left hand or right hand? I don't know. You get just straight up join, links in the description below. Inside Tracks, your key to success. But all right, I did a lot of talking. Dom, you're up, bro.
Nice. I'm actually very happy you are giving me this next guy. It's
Queef.
my boy, the big geef, Luis Rengifo, right? And there hasn't really been much reason to talk about him this season. I was very big on him in the offseason. He had three useful three. Oh Lord, Matt's hating on me already. He had three useful fantasy seasons in a row, so I was hoping for a fourth. And then listen, he's only 28, so I thought he was going to take a step forward this year. But injuries and other issues, the Angels just stinking, have led Rengifo to being not great this season. But listen, the last 30 days, Rengifo is hitting 301. He has 15 runs, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, and a steal, and that's over 103 at-bats. He's starting to turn the corner. Listen, he's got second and third eligibility on Yahoo. I know second base has been abysmal this year. Just a guy who's turning it around. He's 16% owned on Yahoo. Probably the same thing that applies to Brady House applies here to Rengifo. I'd keep it to 12-man leagues and deeper than that at the moment. But he's hitting 9th, so that's a good spot for runs. Mike Trout's been hot of late, and Mike Trout's driving everybody in over there. So I expect that for Rengifo. He's over the last 3 seasons, he's hit 264 and 300. He's had 17 and 16 home runs, and he had 24 steals last year in only 78 games. So there's power, there's speed. The counting stats might not be great, but he's also going to hit you for some batting average. So pick up Rengifo if you need a middle or corner infielder who is going to give you some power speed combo and some good batting average.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really hating on him. I was just letting out the queef.
Gotcha.
I mean, the geef follows the rule, right? Batting average off the waiver wire. We might be able to catch a little bit ahead of, the hot start that might start kicking in. So I kind of want to ride the wave and see what happens. As long as he's producing on batting average, I kind of want to get it. And it's the same thing with this next guy, Ramon Laureano of the Baltimore Orioles, 11% owned. He just hit a bomb as we're recording, and 2 runs, a bomb, 7 ribs, a stolen base, batting 333. I think we barely scratched the surface. I think that there's about to be a real hot streak coming. He's batting 319 over the last 2 weeks, 293 over the last month. I think they were about to see another hot go around, and it's nicer to get ahead of the curve and being on the receiving end and having him put up the points from the jump versus catching in either at the end of it or in the middle of it. I'm missing some of that production. So I believe Ramon Laureano is a must add just for those regards, just in those regards alone. I mean, ultimately, too, you look at it and things under the hood look pretty good. You know, expected batting average is at 270, which is right on par with his 284 batting average. The xWOB is at 351. His expected slug is 478, creating hard contact 45% of the time, barreling 10% of the time. Launch angle's looking great. And he's walking a decent percentage of the time. Not absolutely wonderful, but he's having success. And this is what I like, crushing the fastball, crushing the breaking ball. Off speed pitches need a little bit of work, but hey, we'll see what happens. If he can get hot and get a couple good matchups, I think that things are going to be on the right track for him. And coming up, he's playing Tampa at Tampa in the literal AAA park where the power might play a little bit more. I think he's a perfect streaming option for the week and might be ahead of the curve on this one. So add Ramon Laureano now.
Yeah, Matt, the Razor, Mr. Razor Ramon Laureano, he's always been good. You know, he's been. I remember back with the Athletic days, he's been good for a while. Just has never been the key of health. He's one of those guys. He might not be on the top four of the hospital with Mondesi and Buxton, but he's a couple floors down, so he's at least in the range. He just hasn't been healthy. When he's healthy, he's good. As you talked about, power, speed, batting average. This Orioles lineup, he's been hitting. Wow, he's been at the top of the lineup. He's been hitting second, third, fourth, and fifth. They've been moving him around, but any of those spots is great for fantasy purposes. Matt, you covered him well. Once again, it's Ramon Laureano, Baltimore Orioles outfielder, 11% owned on Yahoo. Way under owned, especially for how well he's been performing of late. Let's sneak in a pitcher here. Let's move into the pitching portion of this show. Let's talk about Noah Cameron, another darling of these episodes this season. He's been on and off. But on the whole, he's still been really good this season, and I just don't see why he's only 48% owned on Yahoo. It's 11 starts for Noah Cameron on the year. He's got 3 wins. He has a 2.56 ERA and 0.96 WHIP, 63 innings pitched, 50 strikeouts, more of a finesse kind of guy. But his last 2 starts, strikeouts have been up. On July 13th against the Mets, which is actually today, right? Yeah, today as we're recording, 6.2 innings, 8 strikeouts, no earned runs. The whip was up a little bit at a 135, but you'll take that. And the time before this against the Pirates on July 7th, 7 innings, an earned run, 7 strikeouts, and 0.57 whip. Got the win in that one. He's been good. And then he had no earned runs in the last time before that, before Seattle. So I know he's been up and down, but overall, you can't argue with the numbers on the year for Noah Cameron. I just don't see why, once again, he's not owned more highly. He could get maybe looks like the Rockies out of the All-Star break, if I'm looking at that correctly. Not sure. I'll double check that. But Noah Cameron definitely needs to be way more highly owned than 48% owned on Yahoo because he's been excellent so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, what I like about Noah Cameron is he's performing. That's the biggest part, right? He's doing what he needs to do. Now, do I think it's a little bit more on the hollow end? Absolutely. The guy throws his fastball 28.7% of the time and has expecting batting average of 300, and his fastball as flat as can be. That part I don't like. But his off-speed pitches and breaking balls are actually doing pretty darn good. Changeup has a 185 batting average. Expected batting average isn't too far off. Cutter is sitting at 241, where expected batting average is 273. But the slider, which is phenomenal, needs to throw that more. He's only throwing that about 17% of the time. That's at 105 batting average in the curveball. I would like to see less fastball and more slider and mix in the cutter over the fastball. And I think we could see some true success from Noah Cameron for long term. Otherwise, I'm going to say this is going to be a hollow, performance, and eventually things are going to turn to the negative way. But in the meantime, I'm going to add the kid. I'm going to get him, and ride this wave as long as it humanly can be. For long term aspirations, I would not. But hey, it is what it is. But coming up next, we're going to throw a whole bunch of junk at you with Jansen Junk. Talk about a little Bubba Chandler. Should you be stashing him now? A little Max Scherzer action and more coming up right after this. All right. And just like I mentioned right before, Jansen Junk of the Miami Marlins, doing his thing, starting pitcher as well, 19% owned. So pretty much out there everywhere. And he's a spark, has a SP and RP eligibility. And that's great for points leagues on top of that. Now, Not sure what his next matchup could be. It could be Kansas City or sometimes next week, but he's been good over the last month. 33 innings pitched, four wins, 22 Ks, a 2.16 ERA, a .87 WHIP. Even over the season with 50 innings pitched, 4 wins, a save. Interestingly enough, now they're giving him some starts and doing his thing with 38 Ks, 2.68 ERA with a .99 WHIP. Now, here's the thing: he started against Baltimore and went 7 deep in his last outing. And this was at Baltimore. Yeah, he didn't get the strikeouts, but got the quality start, handled himself really well. And that's pretty valuable. Even went 6 against Cincy at Cincy, pitched very well, and went 6 against Minnesota. So he's been a starter for, the last 3 starts for him, and he's been killing it. If Junk can keep throwing out the junk and keep killing it for them, I think there's no reason he can't maintain that rotation spot. Fastball looks beautiful, has great movement. Breaking ball looks great too. Off speed pitches, not as much. But hey, sometimes you don't need it because he leans on that fastball pretty heavily with, a 38%, 38.4% times throwing. It has a batting average of 250. His slider also throws it 28% of the time. That has a batting average of 246. The sweeper's filthy with a 172 batting average. I mean, the kid's got good stuff, and he has still 2 more pitches to go. Those are a little bit more on the upper side. Hey, look, Junk is just going to go out there and do his thing. He needs to be added just now to see if he can keep this streak up. And you know what? You might not get the caper innings, but at least he's out there helping you, getting quality starts, getting you low statistical ERAs and WHIP, and that's the part that's really going to win it for you because we damn sure know the Miami Marlins are not going to win games.
Yeah, Matt, you're spot on here with Junk. He's of the Noah Cameron build, more of a finesse type of pitcher, and he's been giving you length in his last 3 starts. Pitches in a good ballpark that suppresses power. And listen, he's made some changes. He's 29 years old, but he made some changes to his repertoire this year. Hence what Matt was talking to, the success that we're seeing so far. So ride the wave here with Junk. There's a chance that he could be one of those guys that you look back, hey, oh wow, Jansen Junk's still on my roster at the end of the year. It's possible, not probable, but possible. And he's only 19% owned on Yahoo, so definitely worth the snag. At least while he's performing well. Let's move into a guy that needs to be talked about here. He is the number 3 prospect in all of baseball at the moment. Let's talk about Bubba Chandler, right? Bubba Chandler's an interesting one. He's been up and down, in the minors of late, I'd say dating back to when was this one? The beginning of June, ups and downs, but his last 2 starts have been actually pretty good. He's won 6 innings in both with no earned runs, 5 and 6 strikeouts, respectfully in each of those starts. One was on the 4th, one was on the 10th of this month. I don't see them holding Chandler down much longer. There's not much left for him to prove. If you take the whole season together, it's 18 starts, a 2.82 ERA, 73 innings pitched, 93 strikeouts. The whip is a little bit high at a 130 due to his 37 walks in 73 innings, which is a bit high. But I think just bring him up to the bigs. Let him work with schemes. He's pretty much ready. 6'3", 218. Not a lot left for him to prove down there except the control. But as I mentioned, the last 2 starts have been stellar. I could imagine they give him one more coming out of the All-Star break here in the minors. And if it's good, he could be up after that. So Bubba Chandler, the next big prospect, I think he's right around the corner. I'd be stashing him now pretty much everywhere if you want, some Bubba Chandler on your team when he gets called up.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Bubba Chandler is I think the innings limitation. So think about it. If he gets called up tomorrow, that's going to be the thing. So like he's already pitched 73 innings. The most he's done is about 119. Even they let him give him a little leeway and go say, okay, cool, we're going to go 130 innings, 140 innings. That's still almost double of what it's going to be. And I mean, I don't think that he's going to blow past that or not play in September. And I don't think he's going to be up just yet. I think August, that first week of August is where I'm probably projecting it, or last week of July. But I guess, hey, that's the next 2 weeks, funny enough, because we're in the middle of July right now. It's kind of crazy to even think that. But, it's not going to be a turnkey thing. It's not going to be right after the All-Star break. first, second week of August, I think, is the most likely projection for him. But he needs to be stashed because he probably will be an instant contributor and be somebody that we're just leaning on for the second half of the season. Let's move on. Let's talk about Max Scherzer. Playing for those Toronto Blue Jays, 44% owned, and has been solid. I'm not going to say amazing or great, but been solid over the last 2 weeks. 15 innings pitched, a win, 19 Ks, a 4.20 ERA with a 1.13 WHIP. Last two outings has had a 4.5 ERA against the Athletics and Angels, but the start before that was because the Yankees held himself down with a 3.6 ERA. Look, it is what it is. What I like to see is his first 6 inning game. That's the biggest part for me, and the well over K per innings. These are all good signs of positive things that we need to get him on our team. Scherzer had a great spring coming into this year, and I feel is going to continue to build on that now that he's returned from injury. You need to add him now. 44% owned. He needs to be more widely owned because as long as he's healthy, I think he's going to have K per inning upside and then some. So just add him now.
Yeah, Matt, good take there on Scherzer. I'm right there with you. I don't think he's going to be the Scherzer of old, but I think we're starting to see him figure it out. He's only had 5 starts this year, total. So there's a reason he's building back up. I think, like you said, Matt, once we see the, old Scherzer of old somewhat come back, that K per 9 will be there. I don't think the ERA is going to be there anymore, I'm going to be honest with you. If it's a high 3s to low 4s ERA, that's where I'm expecting him. Still think the whip can be a little bit better than where it is at a 1.26. Scherzer's always been a whip specialist. So I think even with the age, it could get a little bit better, maybe like the 1.15 area. So Scherzer could definitely be useful. Probably looking once again, what we were saying earlier with some of the other guys, probably 12-man leagues and deeper for now, and just see where the thing goes with Mr. Max Scherzer. And the last one for anyone that's sticking around is a deep league cut. Somebody who's on their way back. A little stash here at the end of the episode. It's Christian Javier of those Houston Astros, working his way back from Tommy John surgery. He struck out 2 and allowed 3 runs. 2 of those were earned. 1 hit, 3 walks over 1.1 innings in a rehab start Friday. That was at rookie level. Listen, it's his first start since Tommy John. He's on his way back. 35 pitches. So he's on his way. Could there be some upside here? Yeah. Christian Javier, when he was in his prime, man, was one of my favorite pitchers, man. I really thought he was going to be a lot better than he wound up being. But it's just really a deep league cut here. If you have the room on your IL and you just want a dart throw here, somebody that could contribute, once again, probably an August type situation here with Christian Javier is going to need at least, I'd say 3, 4, 5 rehab starts. But listen, it's a dart throw that somebody could be helping you, in your playoff run. Christian Javier, Houston Astros, somebody, once again, could throw that dart that way.
Yeah, I like Javier. My biggest gripe and always has been is he's been like a 2.5, 3 pitch pitcher. And I feel like that's what kind of kills him in a lot of aspects. Like he has a really good fastball when it actually is on point, which the last couple years it hasn't been. But we'll see what happens. Really leans on that. The slider's good, but could be better. And then, he really just doesn't lean on that knuckle curve, which I think he would have more success on if he just learned to master it. So for now, yeah, deep league cut. If you can get a boost in those, NFBC leagues or those 15-man leagues, those AL only leagues, those are the real keys. But hey, he's a guy also in those shallow leagues. Keep him in your back of your mind because if you start seeing him perform and he starts getting real hot in the minors, I might even speculate at him even in the shallow leagues just to see if I could get a piece of that and see if we could catch that 2022 back. He still only is 28 years old. We can't just forget that either. For a pitcher, that's young. It's not a hitter, right? Like pitchers, they go into their mid 30s and still have eliteness. So, and usually start seeing them break out towards their mid to late 20s. So Javier could still have that resurgence. I don't doubt that, in all honesty. It's just likelihood of this at this point from having a stellar season and pitching at almost a no in the World Series to completely falling off the rails. And not really likely, but I'll take a shot in a dart throw if I start seeing some positive signs. And we'll keep you tuned on that. But deep league cuts, add them, stash them, because I think it's going to be worth it. Dom, if you got nothing else, I'm going to get us out of here. Please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this show because we truly love bringing it to you each and every day. And if we want a little bit more than we offer in this 30-minute podcast, make sure to join that insider track. You also get a free 2 weeks, so don't just pass up on that opportunity alone. When you're done, check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB, who puts on great MLB coverage each and every day. So with that being said, guys, have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
Yeah.